Three things are needed for success: legislation, tariffs, and access to long-term financing. The project targeted this third factor by providing long-term revolving funds through a universal credit organization.
The World Bank provided a $5 million credit to ensure investments in the sector. The project received co-financing from the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which invested an additional $7 million, as well as from the Cascade Universal Credit Organization, the owner of which, the Kafesyan Family Foundation, invested $3 million. As a result, a $15 million loan package was formed, the successful allocation of which attracted other donor financing in this sector. Many commercial banks are now providing loans for the construction of small hydropower stations.
We have a small gardening firm. We thought that since we're bringing in irrigation water, we could also build a hydropower station on that water flow.
The company Jaghatsi, which owns the Gocht 1 and Gocht 2 cascade of hydropower stations, has taken the risk and received a loan to make an investment in this area. The stations built on the Gocht stream of the Azad River operate for only 4 months a year. Besides, in order to connect the hydropower stations to the high-voltage electric grid, the company constructed a 10-kilometer-long power transmission line. The Yeregnadzor small hydropower station, built on the Yeregis River in the Vayot-Dzor region, has a 1.8 megawatt capacity. To operate the hydropower station, 15 new jobs opened for the residents of the neighboring villages.
There is a lot of construction of small hydropower stations going on in Vayot-Dzor now, and it is very efficient. First of all, even the smallest hydropower station creates 7 new jobs.
The Artavan 1 small hydropower station is under construction now. It will start operating in a month and will have a 2.8 megawatt capacity. Armen Mikhaelian from the village of Artavan has been working here for a year. He hopes that he will be offered a job again after the construction is complete.
We are employed now, which is good. If I did not have this job, I would have to go and cultivate my land and breed the cattle, barely managing. It isn't good going abroad for seasonal work either. You leave your family behind and your children unattended. It's not good. It's better to work here than abroad.
These micro power stations create a lot of jobs in very many communities. And here I understand there will be 8 to 10 jobs created in the local community. So this is an extra benefit. So you generate energy, you diversify your source of energy at a very cost-competitive rates. You generate electricity through renewables, which is a big plus for climate change, but also in terms of economics.
The World Bank and the Renewable Resources and Energy Efficiency Fund work towards securing continued investments in clean energy. A $3 million grant from the Global Environment Facility was allocated to identify Armenia's renewable energy potential and attract private investments in this sector. The project designed the scheme for small hydropower stations and developed model business plans and guidelines for the renewable energy sector. This information is now available on the website of the Renewable Resources and Energy Efficiency Fund at www.r2e2.am. Some of the results of the project are the Geographic Information System, GIS, and the Database for Renewable Energy Resources. Despite remarkable achievements, Armenia's energy sector faces new challenges. One of the main electricity generators in the country, the Metsamor nuclear power plant, is set to close. The old energy units of the Yerevan and Harazdan thermal power stations will also stop operation. Depending on the future growth of demand, Armenia will need an additional 850 to 1,350 megawatts of electricity generation capacity. At the same time, the system's reliability is vulnerable to possible interruptions in supplies of imported fuel, as well as to aging transmission and distribution grids. And finally, the price of imported natural gas is continuously rising, which inevitably leads to increases in the cost of heating and electricity supply tariffs. The entry of new generation capacities into the system will also contribute to rising costs. The affordability of energy tariffs is becoming an ever-growing problem, especially for the poor. These challenges can undermine the achievements in Armenia's energy sector. In order to ensure a reliable and affordable energy supply system, energy saving and efficiency is key in Armenia.
We should not produce as much as we want, but rather as much as we need. And this difference between how much we want and how much we need is the energy efficiency that we must achieve. Otherwise, this will lead to increase in tariffs and decrease in reliability and the level of energy security. This approach must be applied countrywide so that we can have a more reliable and secure system.
According to the International Energy Agency, it is 3 times more expensive to produce 1 kilowatt per hour of electricity than to conserve it. Thus, energy conservation, too, is a source of energy. A 2008 World Bank study concluded that through energy efficiency improvements, Armenia can save more than $360 million annually, equivalent to almost 4.5% of its 2009 GDP. Energy efficiency and the use of Armenia's own energy sources are national security issues. One of the prospective projects for the development of our own energy resource is the construction of the Lori Baird hydropower station, which can have a 66 megawatt capacity. The government expects the World Bank's support for the implementation of this project. Armenia's high-voltage transmission network, too, needs investment. The network is state-owned and has not yet received due attention since the Soviet years.
The 110, 220, 1000-volt transmission lines are like the arteries of the whole energy system. If their reliability is low, it will have an immediate impact on the reliability of the entire energy system. One of our main tasks is to rehabilitate these lines.
Almost every neighborhood experiences power outages for 1 or 2 hours several times a month. These are called planned outages. The electric networks of Armenia is carrying out rehabilitation work at the substations.
There are problems in the system, and we are not always right. And I apologize in advance to those people who experience supply interruptions. But this is work which we must do. Works in the 10 substations around Yerevan lead to a whole range of works